crisp apples, strudels, doorbells and sleigh bells, and sweet Sue's with noodles. Wild geese that fly with the moon on their wings. These are a few of my favorite things.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to the Truth Behind the Truth. Happy holidays to everyone. We hope everyone had a fantastic Christmas. Oh my God, we had one. We did nothing but stay home. Stay home and eat. That's all we did. Yeah, that's all we did. That's all you can do in the world of a pandemic right now, you know, at the end of the day. Want to welcome our YouTube family, our Facebook family, and our soon-to-be Instagram family. We hope you guys had a great celebration of the birth of the Savior of the world. What else I want to tell? Okay, and our UK family. Everybody always with our UK family that always tunes in with us as well. And all the family members and things. I think the Browns are tuning in tonight from what I got. Everybody in New York is probably tuning in to see the show tonight. Yeah. So this is going to be a real awesome show as well. All right. So family members, if we don't acknowledge you straight up, you know, by name, we want to welcome you. Everybody know that you're welcome. We thank you for your support 100% over. Want to remind you to go to the Truth Behind the Truth page, get that darn t-shirt. Okay. Yeah. Get that darn t-shirt. Yeah. And lastly, I hope y'all are masking up. Okay. I hope you all are masking up. Please do so. You know, please do so we can get through this pandemic.
Please do something about it.
Exactly.
Especially here.
Exactly.
Yes.
Want to welcome our wonderful co-host that you will be seeing him quite often now as a part of the team of Truth Behind the Truth. He is our North Carolina connection.
Yeah.
Exactly. Most of you know Mr. Harold LaFall. I like to call him Dr. Harold LaFall. Okay. But he is a part of the Truth Behind the Truth team. So we're looking to really bring you some solid stuff, some solid information coming into 2021. We've got some exciting shows that'll be going forward as well. One of the ones I do want to put in a bug in you guys' ear to remember, and then we'll get into tonight's show. We're doing a show called Men Have Voices. Okay. Hopefully that one will be able to air the third Saturday in January. Okay. We're going to have actor Keith Burke back for that. Okay, as well as actor Sean Baker for that particular show. It may roll over into a 2-part series. We'll see how deep the conversation gets, you know, about that, because men really do have voices. Okay, but they seem to get squashed. Okay, another one that we're going to working on as well is called PhD of the Church. PhD of the church. Okay, post-traumatic syndrome of the church. Okay,
that's
man. I'm telling you, that's gonna be.
I want to invite somebody to this.
Right. So we have to pull up our bootstraps. You know, you got to pull your bootstraps up. And get your fighting fists on,
and bring your shield, Bring your shield,
everything else. Okay, because they not gonna like that show.
I got another person I'm going to definitely invite. To
exactly.
This conversation, you already know.
Exactly.
Bring on that.
That's why we call it the Truth Behind the Truth, right?
Exactly. That's why we call it the Truth Behind the Truth. You know, because there's a lot of truth that needs to be unveiled about how religion and I'm going to say Christianity has shaped the thinking of people, that they do not have their freedom to experience them being enough and knowing their own truth and knowing their authenticity. So we're gonna dig it. We're gonna free somebody. We're gonna free some people in 2021.
All right.
And you know what? We never talk about is church trauma. We talk about all types of other traumas. We don't talk about church trauma.
We don't talk about it. You know,
and that's
so I'm
the real
excited.
thing.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. I had to point out Ethel. She was trying to. She's like, well,
listen,
she's loving that. Ethel. Okay, I got you, baby.
Same type of mind. I listen to that. I'm all about this conversation. I think it's very important that we
save it though. Don't get into it. Save it now.
All right.
Save it.
All right.
All right. That's going to be a good show. It really is. It's going to be a good show. So, Harold, tell us how your holiday was and all of the above in between. And I see all of them talk about the wonderful posts. And so we're going to integrate a lot of your posts into the show, you know, and things like that. So I'll get the information. We'll run it part of the commercial. I saw the new T-shirt. Yeah. I see you've been working out, but that's okay. You can make it look real bad, all right?
Just a little bit.
Oh, okay. All right. But go ahead, share what's been going on, brother.
Well, you know, with this was like really the first Christmas in a long time that I was looking forward to Christmas.
Okay.
Typically, Christmas is not a joyous time for me. Both my mom and my grandmother, the two most important women in my life, they both died during Christmas. In fact, my mother's funeral was 2 days before Christmas.
Yes.
And I didn't realize how traumatic that was for me for years. I just had tuned Christmas out. And so this was the first year that I was excited to see the lights and the trees and just was really excited. And I think a lot of it had to do with all of the instability and uncertainty that we all are experiencing. Just being able to, you know, reminisce and look forward to something that is every year was kind of, you know, comforting for me. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. And that's important. You know, excuse me for adjusting the camera, guys, just a little bit here. You know, that's important because, you know, I think it's, to me, it's so unfortunate a lot of times that we see the occurrences of transitions during this period of the holiday, you know, and it stings a lot of people because it is such a celebratory time, you know, and the unity and the love and the, you know, and the spirit that we feel about the season. And then all of a sudden you're into it. And then this individual is taken out, you know, in the midst of it. And it does leave a stain in your life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because you really can, because of the overjoying of the celebration itself, it reminds you. So it's like it's in your face, you know, no matter how long it is, it's consistently in your face. And it really takes a strong person to move past that. You know, one of my good friends, Jerry experienced the transition of his mother. Same time doing it. So he has not been a big celebrator of the he gets into it pretty much, but it took a while, you know? Right.
And, you know, and one of the realizations that I had was how important it is that we do keep those traditions in memory of our loved ones, because they don't want us to be sad and missing them. They want us to, you know, experience joy and remember all of the good times associated with that day. And so I found it took me about 20 years to get to this point, but I'm here.
But you got there. You know, and that's important. You know, your involvement happened. You know, I mean, at the you know, at the appropriate time. I think that. Do you want to chime in before? I had a little point.
Well, you know, with the situation with the death of his, you know what, my hearing is, I don't know if it's just my my actual, you know, earpiece, but it's just not very loud and clear. I don't know what is going on, but if I'm correct, Harold, you say it was the death of your grandmother and your mother, correct?
Yes.
Okay, I'm so sorry. It's just it feels so distant. Okay, but you know, when you were talking about that, I was thinking about, you know, now that we've been going through with this COVID and everything else, that's, you know, people have been and now experiencing loss all over this country and all over this world. And, you know, nobody wants to lose a relative or family around this time of year, but any time of year. But it's just the situation right now, and listening to you, Harold, it puts into perspective the grief factor that you can get over, but it's still there.
It's still there.
And there's nothing wrong about grieving. It's also, you know, it's in a way, I feel like it's more of a it's therapeutic to one's soul to get whatever that's in you out emotionally. Because it's once you hold on to it, there's a trigger there that that sometimes people it's like bumping up against a hard wall. But other than that, though, it really puts in perspective that people are actually going through this right now around us, and you know, you must be. I think we all need to be considerate of people around it, or sensitive to people's emotional needs around this time, whether we know it or not. There are people who are out there suffering because they either lost somebody or they're going through
Absolutely.
something.
Absolutely.
You know,
Absolutely.
okay. That's what I was thinking about when Harold was talking, because it's just this year has been a very unfortunate year for people who had relatives they thought, you know, they did not know they would pass around this time of year, pass this year because of the COVID or whatever that was they were going through.
Right.
So it's just one of those things I was just really, that was just piercing my mind as he was, you know, speaking.
Gotcha. You know, and then we'll move on. You strike something here when you mentioned about just, you know, the experience of what you have to go through. Maybe this will be a little bit of encouragement for you, you know, just getting, as you were evolving from, you know, what this time of year represented. You know, I think I've shared the story with you before. I'm trying to consistent, so I don't want to take a whole lot of time. But the year my mother transitioned, which was 94, and my mom and I were always, you know, we're very close and whatever. And she came to visit me when I was in Atlanta, you know, for I think about 30 days, and she was planning to move to Atlanta, and ended up transitioning 60 days later after she went back. So she transitioned from cancer, you know, unfortunately, but just that time frame. So what we had together and that loss in that quick amount of period of time, is like I'm with her 30 days ago, 60 days we're putting her in the ground. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So it was really, really hard. So moving forward, so her and I were very close about this around the holiday. You know, she taught me how to decorate. You know, we should do it every year, you know, and just have one of the best houses on the block, you know. But and that was so much of a part of me. So anyway, but that same year she had transitioned, I had decorated my home, you know, and stuff like that, and in my tree and what have you. And then there was a section of my tree that, you remember I told you about that, a section of my tree that went out. It was about a week and a half before Christmas. Wow. It just, I checked bulbs and everything. It was just completely out. So I had the top lit and the bottom lit, but the in between was not lit. Okay. So I kept saying, I kept wondering where what was going on. I just said, you know, I know I can pull all these lights off the tree, right? You know, I just didn't worry about it. I said, you know, at this point, you know, it's done, right? So anyway, I was at home one day, and I was kind of feeling a little down, you know, about the holiday in and of itself, because it was the first year Mom had transitioned. Well, a girlfriend of mine called me on the phone, and she said, you know, I was just thinking about you, and I was thinking about you and your mom. And I was like, wow, okay. So she said, you know what? And we know after the conversation we had, she said, you know what? I believe in the Christmas miracles. Wow. You know what I'm saying? I said, I believe that you're going to get a Christmas miracle. I said, really? You know, and it kind of brought tears to my eyes, you know, whatever. Right. So anyway, I hung up the phone with her. Now, I passed, you know, my living room where my tree was set up. Lights were still out. Mm-hmm. I looked to my step, going up my steps, and looked back at the tree, Harold, and the lights came on.
Oh, wow. Wow.
That gets me all the time. I'm sorry.
Wow.
Because I knew that was a sign. Lights being out all week long, you know, for almost 2 weeks. And I did nothing else. And the lights came on.
Wow.
So embracing, you know, what you're saying, you know, and to those out there that are feeling the hard time of this, what this ending of the year has been for you, be encouraged. You know what I'm saying? Be encouraged. Look for something in the midst of this that celebrates them, like you said, Harold. You know, let their spirit be a part of what's going on with you.
That's right.
You know, and celebrate them. You know, and I'm sure you will get a Christmas miracle, a New Year's miracle, you know, a greater year miracle for your life. You know, just expect it. You know, just expect it to happen. You know, but anyway, I got to move on. This is just, whoo, okay. Thank you, Harold. Every time you're on, you're trying to make me cry.
You're just releasing.
Exactly. I'm sorry, Harold. I'm sorry. My bad. But I was just saying, it just puts the reassurance that you're never alone.
Right, exactly.
You're never alone.
Never alone.
There's somebody spiritually. I always feel this, even it could be a relative or it could be a friend. You know, there is a spiritual reassurance of them always being around.
Right. Oh yeah.
And that has, you know, and that to me always, you know, it does bring some inner peace.
It does.
Because, you know, that in itself That's something.
Yeah, I mean, I will never forget that. I mean, it's just that is so ingrained in me, as it is. It really is. We're gonna go ahead and break for a quick commercial, real quick, and then we're gonna dig into 2020. Okay. All right. All the things that happened in 2020. All right. I'll be right back with you. Hey, welcome back, everyone. Thank you for tuning into The Truth Behind the Truth. Once again, welcome our YouTube family, as well as our Facebook family and our Instagram family, and the family that's becoming Truth Behind the Truth around the world. All right. We're spreading a message. Yes, exactly. We are spreading a message of empowerment. Okay. Number one, empowerment, letting you know that you are enough and you are finding the beauty of your authenticity.
Yes, sir.
All right. Let's dig into 2020. Oh, my goodness. Woo! We are talking about
2020, the year of reckoning. The year of reckoning.
Exactly.
Reawakening.
Reawakening.
Oh,
exactly.
my, a lot
Exactly.
to be awoken. Oh, my goodness.
I tell you. Harold, you want to talk about something first, Bree?
No, this year has just revealed a lot. With all the uncertainty and the changes, I think a lot of stuff has really come to surface. We thought things had gotten a lot better in terms of race relations and other progress that we have made as a people. Right. And what I think 2020 helped us to realize is that a lot of that was really smoke and mirrors, that a lot hasn't changed. And there has been, folks' hearts have been really revealed, what they really believe. It's one thing to say you believe something. It's another thing when stuff hits the fan, you really see.
You said it.
Oh, well, okay.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
And so, I think 2020 was, it was horrible, challenging, but in some ways, I think it was necessary. I think sometimes you need things to break apart before things can really come together in a powerful way. And it has made us question a lot of things, and I think that's important. I think it has allowed us to question systems, structures, powers, and what we, I think, have realized is that the people we have held in high esteem in a lot of cases, they just like us. They just like, and I think, in our culture, we have this tendency of putting certain people on pedestals just behind titles and money. And I think we realize now that stuff is really, it doesn't define your character. It doesn't define your value. It doesn't define your integrity. We see that in the White House, what a lack of integrity looks like in the highest office in the land. And so I think it has, awakened us to a lot of stuff that we may have believed in that really wasn't true and real.
Exactly.
And I wholeheartedly agree. I was thinking when Harold was talking, I was thinking about in moments when we had conversations coming in Atlanta, when I was always coming back from work, I kept on saying, something's coming. Something's coming. Something's coming. I don't know what it is.
Okay. Okay.
That's the Broadway. That's the Broadway. I'm so sorry. I got lost. But it's just something about, I kept saying something's coming. I just feel like people are getting nastier. And this was 2019. People are getting nastier. People are getting impatient. The energy, even when Trump, during his presidency, it was just so much toxic energy in the world around us. Absolutely. And I kept saying something is, I don't know what it is, but it's just coming. I feel it. It's in, and I kept reiterating that with you. I said, people are it's getting ridiculous out here in these streets and on television. And when COVID came, it came somewhere for me around November. It came, it just didn't hit the US, but I was working at CBS in Midtown Atlanta, and around the corner there's Georgia Tech. And they have a large body of Asian students that would come in, Indian students too as well. They would come in, they were buying up all of these masks. They were buying up all of the airborne, and they were buying up all the, what they call it, the berry, goji berry. Well, elderberry and goji berry. Elderberry. And I kept saying to myself, what is this? And they kept asking, where is it? Where I need. And I said, okay, watching the news, COVID, hitting China and all this stuff. I said, well, if it comes over here, I don't think we're prepared. And it did hit. It hit it hit Atlanta. It hit before we went to New York. But when we got back, Atlanta shut down. It literally shut down. And people were just all over the place. It just felt like, what is, oh my goodness, this is it. But it just put into perspective the energy of humanity. It didn't start 2020. It started somewhere in 2019, or it might have started some years before. But the energy we put out there through our media, through our beliefs, through what we what we were doing, I felt in a way caused COVID.
Oh wow!
Spiritually, I felt in a way it didn't just start in some lab. It started with our energy.
Yeah, I agree.
Because it's just the fact that that people don't understand. Storms are caused throughout the world because of humanity, because of the energy
right.
that we put
That's
out,
true.
storms
Absolutely.
and all of this
Absolutely.
stuff. If you believe in that, now
Right.
you know, if you don't believe in that, hey, that's you.
Right.
But I believe the energy
that's
put
just a reality
forth,
of the truth behind the truth. What you're saying?
yes,
Go ahead, keep going.
Right,
what we put forth, what we bring out, what we give out,
Right.
perfect storm for
Right.
COVID.
Right.
So 2020 was the manifestation of years of
Good
brewing
point. Yes.
negativity,
Yes.
negative
Yes.
energies, negative music,
Right.
negative movies,
Yes.
whatever you were reading. It just brewed up into this thing
Yes.
called COVID,
Yes.
and it put humanity in a standstill.
That's true. Stand still.
Because
And it
people,
equalized everything. It equalized everything. Everybody had to stay home. Didn't matter how much money you had and what your time. Everybody had to stay home.
True. So true. I agree. You know, one point that, and you both are hitting on such a great point. The one thing I want to bring up in this is kind of encapsulating this is that 2020 vision. Okay. Now 2020 vision is such a perspective. We understand it gets you clear vision, right? You know, you sort of see things clearly. Okay. To your point, first of all, Hero, 2020 vision gave you a clarity to see what was behind the mask.
Right.
What was behind the things that have been hidden the whole time? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
The racial disparities. You know what I'm saying? The situation with the police officers, the George Floyd situation, the Breonna Taylor situation. You saw this clearly now. You see, there's no way in the world you could not say you didn't see it.
Right.
So your 2020 vision was open. You see what I'm saying? It was clear.
Right.
You know, just what you were making a second ago, and about all the things you did, the COVID coming in. You know, as you said, you had 2020 vision about the year. You said something was coming. You didn't know what it was, but I also told you. I mean, we had in the conversation online, and we talked. I said something is going to be different about 2020. I didn't know it was COVID. You know, at the time, but I came in with 2020 vision because I saw all of these things happening. You know, but so many people think that they've gotten hit by surprise. Your eyes were open. You know what I'm saying? Your eyes had been open going into it. Now you can choose to put a blinder over it and act like you didn't see it, like the Trump supporters. Okay, you know what I'm saying? Like the ones that had drunk the orange Kool-Aid over and over again. But the clear vision was there. The pathological lying of this man was there. You see what I'm saying? The 2020 vision was in place. You know, you had the choice. You can pull the shades down, whatever they can, and act like you didn't see it. But you did see it. You know, you saw all the wrong things that he did. I'm just kind of piggybacking off what you guys are saying. All of the wrong things this man did during the course of the time he was in the White House. You know, I've never doubted him as president. My president, mine is still Barack Obama. Okay, until good old George come in on the 20th. Okay, Barack Obama still been my president.
Joe.
You know, good old Joe coming in, Miss Kamala. You know,
Joe, Sleepy Joe. That's what they call it, Sleepy Joe.
But you know, so you know, in and of itself, so we have seen a very clarity of things that we have been blinded to in in past times. You know.
Well, I blinded, but also, oh my goodness, what do I call it? Something else. I call it distraction.
Distraction. Okay.
We are so, as a culture, we are just distracted. Everything distracts us from what is so important, what is so clear. Yeah, what if this COVID thing would have never happened? Yeah, what if the Breonna Taylors and the George Floyds was going on and we were still going on our merry way, still going on our jobs, still doing what we do, and not paying attention? And I feel like this COVID thing, whether you like it or not, was worth it.
Right.
Because people, I've been preaching this before COVID. I kept telling people all the time, we're not engaged with what is so important for each other for people as a humanity. We are so distracted with agendas. We all have an agenda in this world. You got an agenda. This is our agenda. This is pushing the truth behind the truth. You have an agenda, Harold. You have, I am enough, and you have to do so, which are positive agendas that will help humanity. Working class people like me or rich working class people. I hate to say it, rich people, but rich working class people.
Right.
But authenticity is a must. People need to understand that we're all different, but we come with the same value, the same set of values. We want to be loved. We want to thrive. We want to survive.
Right.
But we always have this distraction in our mind. What is so important over our survival? And we talked about this in the last show. We talked about the fact that there are people who want to push Christianity.
Right.
They want to push abortion. They want to push anti-gay marriage. They want to push, all of this stuff, forgetting that that is not what is important. What is important is the fact that there are people right now who are out of work. They're going to cut off unemployment money because Trump is not signing that bill. He's going to make sure that his agenda is pushed that I want $2,000 or else I'm not signing anything. So that means the government will shut down. People who are been, residing on this money that they've been getting subsidized from the government, it's going to be cut off because of somebody's foolishness, their agenda.
Absolutely.
And that in itself is that's what's happening.
It's sustained on humanity, honestly. And very carefully, saying that, it is a sustain on humanity. It's sustained in the very essence of what we're about as people. You know what I mean? But as we're together as the unit of this show, and helping people to know that they are enough and finding their authenticity is the quintessential part of where we need to go with everything. But the question is that how are we going to help motivate people to get there? You see what I'm saying?
We got to keep
talking.
Exactly. We have to keep having these conversations. I have these conversations a lot with people. I know you do. We all do. You here. We have these conversations. But there are a lot of people who do not conversate, even though that's not a word. We don't conversate enough about what is important to our lives. I had to tell a coworker because she's all about no abortion. She's all about Trump. And I had to let her know, I understand and I agree. I don't want to see a baby die. I hate to see people killing their unborn babies. But you have to take into consideration, what about you as an individual? You complain to me about leaving the store at midnight and not being able to catch the train to get home. You're a woman. You have to walk down late night streets all by yourself with a knife in your boot. Do you think that's right? Do you see that you as a person who has to get out here and work for a living, who has to make sure that her bills and rent are paid, is valuable right now, but you're putting this over you.
Right, exactly. An agenda, somebody else's agenda,
That's the conversation. Go ahead, Harold. I'm sorry.
No, one of the things I was going to say is so oftentimes, because we often don't have the courage to face ourselves, we tend to focus on other things and attack other things because that's easy to do, rather than to focus on ourselves and challenge the beliefs and the things that we have been taught and told growing up. So many of us are dealing with childhood trauma and we don't even realize it. We have been traumatized in our childhood by parents, school, society, church, and we think that's who we are. We think that's who we are, and we will defend our trauma. Even though our trauma is painful to us, even though our trauma doesn't yield the results we really want in our lives, we will hold on to that pain because pain becomes a habit, and we are creatures of habit. And for many of us, hopefully, one of the things that happened in COVID is in that reckoning when we were all self-isolated and at home, and most of us still are, that we were able to deal with ourselves and not have to show up for our jobs or school and play this role and play that role. You're at home where you can really begin to process and question things, where you're not jumping back into those roles that we all play in the world, and really figure out who we are and what we want and what's important to us. But that's a really difficult thing to do in our culture, because folks who are traumatized are attracted to other traumatized folks. So you don't get a disruption of the trauma. You are attracting other folks that are traumatized just like you are.
Exactly. And I think one of the things is that I've found, and then we'll move on to another point, is that people were afraid to be alone with themselves. You know what I'm saying? So when you're afraid to be alone, you're scared to look at the image that comes back at you in the mirror, you know, and when you truly deal with that image in the mirror, you expose all of that trauma, you know, and it's hard. You know, it's a very hard to do. It's easy to walk around with that mask on and just pull it off at the given points, you know, either when you get home or whatever mask you wear by your spouse or whatever the case may be. But the one thing I challenge a lot of people during this time frame, I said, spend this time alone. Okay, asking yourself all of these questions that you ask everybody else. Ask yourself those questions. Okay, identify with the same questions. If you're trying to pull something else out of somebody else, you need to probably be pulling it out of yourself. You know, at the end of the day, you know. But anyway, we're going to go on. We got a quick commercial going. We're going to dig in a little bit further. We want to talk about some of the things that we talked about previous shows, some of the guests that we had on, you know. And I do want you to mention about the juicing and everything coming up.
Okay.
Okay. All right. We'll be right back after this commercial, guys. Hey, welcome back, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to Truth Behind the Truth.
Yes.
Our year-end discussion about 2020. So far, it has been an interesting discussion about 2020, you know, centering around COVID. Definitely. And guys, of course, you know, our new co-host to our show now, Dr. Hella Fall. Okay. Love my brother dearly. But we want to just kind of dig into what Truth Behind the Truth has been for its inception this year. Okay, I am so excited, and Harold, you've been a follower of the show before you became part of the family, and you've watched this show grow. Okay, it's no secret, guys. When Darlene and I started this show this year, okay, earlier this year, it was a vision we had 2 years ago, being a podcast, and then it evolved into something greater. So we had to make the right sequences to make things happen in that. But we decided walking through the park back in Atlanta one day, and we just said we're going to do it today. We literally came home. Got the tablet at that time, and grabbed a light bulb from one of our lamps, put that light bulb in front of our face, and went for it.
Yes.
Wow.
And to see what we have, what we've been blessed with, I'll say, to what we have evolved for and moving into is just shy of amazing.
And the people that we have met along the way, because there were people who, before we even thought about it, were not set in place. We didn't have a clear idea who was going to support us.
Right. Which is going to lead my next point. But
go ahead. But it was just one of those things that, it's so funny when you do stuff like this, you walk this journey, I want to call it fine line, but you walk this journey, meeting people, talking to people, networking. We knew Harold, we knew you before this. I mean, y'all been good friends for a long time. I went to the conference, before and when you spoke.
Right.
First. So it's just, your support has been, just a blessing and consistent. Ish and Hurst, DJ Hurst, and, oh my goodness, I'm trying to put some other names. Go ahead.
So because you took my words, but that's okay. But I was going to get leading up to
go ahead.
To where we were with with situation going into this year. And we were so honored, we were looking at, most of you guys probably saw the shows when we moved to the podcast studio. And during the time that we came in to view the studio, we had no idea who we were meeting. Okay. And during that, I didn't realize I was pitching the show, at the end of the day, but I ended up pitching the show, But I have to say, and I'm very grateful and humble to Dr. True Doctor of all of what we've become. Ishmael York, okay, and the whole essence of him believing in the truth behind the truth has allowed us to evolve to this particular point in time, okay. To him, awarded to Tech Genius back there in Atlanta, guys. I'm telling you, what you see and what we have become is due to credit to Tech Genius and Ishmael York. I mean, one of the dynamic producers that came on board, that believed in what we were doing and believing us and beyond. We came, we talked, we pitched, and now he's on board for us to make it to Sony Studios. Okay, because that's where we're going. Okay, that's where Truth Behind the Truth is going. All right, because it is needed. With this, it's needed on a daytime spot. Okay, it's needed because you need to have strong men with ideas that can help people evolve. Okay, we're entertaining from time to time, but at the end of the day, the deep root of this is to help people find their authenticity, to know who they are. But the number one thing is to have a relationship with your creator. Okay, know who you are, love yourself, and then extend that to humanity. Okay, once you start that practice, you'll begin to get away with the layers so that you can start to begin to see yourself as enough, because it's a process. You have to start with knowing that you're enough to also for your authenticity to be revealed. You see what I'm saying? So it's a process of getting those things, moving forward. But that was one of the areas of 2020. I'm just so grateful for the relationship that we have built from 2020 well on to where we're going with Truth Behind the Truth and all of those wonderful things.
And the people who entrusted us to interview them.
There
were some interviews that I wish I was there for. And I finally got her book in the mail.
Right.
I was, as you can see,
right.
We got to bring her back.
Oh, she's coming back. She's coming back.
We're going to have to bring Tara Court back. But even I got your book coming, Harold, Juicing 101. I got that coming because listen. 2021 is going to be a transformation.
Absolutely.
I know that's right.
Yeah.
So we're on that.
Right.
So it's just people, Danny and Keith and oh my goodness, Heather, during our after symposium, that let's just say every show has been an experience.
It has.
Great experience, a great teaching moment,
right.
Eye opener to what are the possibilities that where this show is headed.
Right.
So I just want to say, this in itself, this platform, if you haven't really followed us from the very beginning, I think the very first show is on Facebook.
It is.
You can go on Facebook and look how far we have come.
Right. Exactly.
Because it's worth the watch.
Right. It is. And you touched on the point about how the conversations, were so brilliantly put together, because one of the things about the show has been organic all along. You know what I'm saying? And then any conversation has been very organic. We believe that if you're open, you'll find the right words to say at the right time. Rather than kind of saying, I'm going to have to say this at this point, say this at that point, and whatever the case may be. But it has been a tremendous year for Truth Behind the Truth, for Dylan and myself, and for Harold alone.
Yes.
But I want to move forward real quick and get into the symposium real fast, because I know, Harold, you wanted to talk about what Danny had, what you felt from Danny's, closing that particular point out. But the actual symposium, go ahead.
I wanted to share one thing, though. I wanted folks not to miss the lesson that you just shared, in terms of how do we get to our dreams and goals. And you talked about you guys made a decision, started with a decision. Yes. And I think so often we get stuck in our heads without making a decision, thinking about all the things we want to do, talking about it, but not really making a decision to do it. And making a decision to do something requires action. And one of the things that Dee just mentioned, that when you guys made the decision with your notepad, people began to show up, things started to happen. And that's what happens when you start pursuing your dreams and you're on your path. You may not see how you're going to get there. You see the big vision. You're here. The big vision is there. The middle part is dark. And so that's where you have to trust. And when you trust, the resources, the people will start to show up for you when you show up for yourself.
Yes. That's it. I totally agree, because if we could have sat back and just kept hoping, wishing, and all those type of things, but
trying to make it perfect. And that's another thing we get caught up in. We want to make it perfect. We want to have the $100,000 bonus, but you start where you are with what you have, and God will bless the rest.
That's right, and the evolvement process begins, and it totally has. Well, movement. Thank you for that, Harold. That's again another encouraging point about where things have happened in this point. Want to move forward real quick and talk about the Actor Symposium real quick. When we came together, the idea of trying to do something that was further enriching the show. And I thought, well, you know what? People really don't have an opportunity to see what true actors are about. You remember we discussed that. We started out the Actor Symposium with two wonderful coaches there in Atlanta, which is Coach Oath and Coach Wes Lee at Ava Coaches. We started out that kind of giving them an idea of what to move toward, what the expectations of becoming an actor, or if you are improving your skills. Then we moved into the interviews. Okay. And I feel so honored for every one of my actor friends that took the time out, that came and became transparent, and really opened up a different world of understanding of their life for you, our audience, to understand, hey, actors are just as plain as you are. Okay. They go through things, they have experiences, they're involved in so many other things other than what happens in front of the camera on a set or whatever the case may be. So to all of the actors that took the time out, and the ones that tried to do it and couldn't do it, but hey, we'll have you on the show at some point talking about something else, but the ones of you guys that took the time out to support us, we're so grateful, and we want to thank you for that, at the end of the day. And moving forward in that, oh my gosh, if you guys missed the show with Danny Glover, oh my gosh. I was just talking to another associate friend of mine that watched that particular show. He said he had to go back and watch the show over and over again. It was so rich. Okay.
It was a master class. It was a master class.
It was a master class. It was. Guys, if you have not seen that segment, that show with Danny Glover, I encourage you to go back to the video library. YouTube is there. Facebook is there. Go back and look at that show. Harold, I know you had some points you wanted to talk about with Danny in that show.
Well, look, I was all geeked up and just excited because I was spellbound. I was just like, everything he said just resonated, from talking about how he approached each role and how he dedicates each role to someone. And so it gives it a higher purpose. So it's not about you, it gives it a higher energy, and I love that. And he was just so humble and just so wow. I mean, I was just blown away. I'm like, this is Danny Glover we talking about, and just being able to hear him just be real, talking about, his mom and, and all of that. But one of the things that I was thinking about, and I had totally forgotten about my experience in California with my trying to find Danny Glover, because I was going to this esthetician 30 years ago, and she said that Danny Glover was her client. Okay. And I believed her. And so I kept coming every 2 weeks for my appointment, hoping I would run into Danny Glover. Never ran into Danny Glover. And when we had him on, I remembered that story. And her name was Catherine Leverett. And I'm like, I'm going to ask him if he actually went there, because my friends was telling me, you don't go to the same place as Danny Glover. No, He did. And so when I said her name and he knew it, I was blown away. I was like, wow, that was really true. So that was kind of a full circle moment for me, because that was over 30 years ago that I was trying to hunt Danny Glover down in Oakland, California at the esthetician.
and look how it all came together 30 years later, right in front of you.
Right.
See, all pursuit is pursuit.
Right.
And at the end of your pursuit is your reality. You know what I'm saying? About
how it won't happen when you expect it, but it will happen if you just believe and let it go. Believe and let it go.
Exactly.
Oh my! But even before that show started, I was so geeked up. I was so nervous. Well, I don't know about you, but I was just literally nervous even before the whole entire day before the show even started. I kept saying, how are we going to move the show? What are we going to talk about? How are we going to maneuver with questions and answers? And the way you introduced the show, Jay, you let everybody have their time. And I said to myself, even in that moment, that's the way the show should be handled. Let everybody have the time to give him his flowers, ask him questions, have him talk. Because it's just whatever we thought or whatever we, in my mind, assumed the show should go was not even in that moment important. What was important was the moment.
Yes.
The moment of authenticity. Yes. And when your cousin, Mika.
Oh yeah, that was a classic moment.
It was that was classic. I had to put that on Instagram, because that in itself, when she said, "I'm from the Bronx, sir," I know you sound like you're from the Bronx, but you know what?
No, you said I could tell.
I can tell. But in that moment right there was just, oh my goodness! I was literally blown away, because it knocked all of the walls for me down. The energy of nervousness came down. It was just so refreshing. Everybody laughed. We had a good time. I cannot, even working in this industry town, we have people who come through my store and they build themselves up to be, I'm a designer, I do this, I know this person. None of them have not can say that they have talked to the legendary Danny Glover. You can't, with all the bravado, with all of this stuff that people like to bring to the table, right there is reassurance that humbleness is worth having in any career, because it sustains you, it protects you as an individual. It's like Maya Angelou said, you need that type of protection over your life. When people have good things to say about you and talk about your character in a positive manner, that in itself is a protectiveness, a protective shield over your journey.
I agree.
Because that opens up a lot of doors. And I could, even in his moment of talking, I see now why his career has been everlasting.
Right. Absolutely.
Because he's in a servant, not only to the script, but he's in servitude to the world.
Absolutely.
To humanity.
Absolutely. That was just, that was like the seal of the deal, for the year. Somebody said to me, I don't know if I was texting somebody yesterday or whatever, and I had reminded, they're supposed to be tuning in tonight to the show, whatever. But when they texted me back, they said, that sealed the deal for you. You know what I'm saying? That just sealed something in the universe for you guys.
Right.
to the propelment of the show, and all of the things that that are involved with that. I mean, I'm just so grateful for that moment. I mean, that moment in time that it actually pulled together, that it actually happened. You know what I mean? It is real powerful. But anyway, let's move on to the next.
And JB, but hats off to you. Hats off to you for making that happen and for having that relationship, for establishing that relationship. And I always tell people there are two types of currency in the world. There's performance currency, that's your ability to do the job. But then there's relationship currency, and that's your ability to really make things happen. And it was because of a relationship that you developed with this legendary, A-list person to bring him to our show, and like you say, that sealed the deal. I mean, that has given us the stamp, and that has given us the blessing to let us know that the sky is the limit.
Yes.
The sky is the limit. Yes. We can have Danny Glover on here. We have everybody on here.
Yeah, I know. Exactly. I'm waiting as people. Somebody said they're going to be people that are going to be asking to be on your show.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? They're going to be asking to be on your show, not just to them, or once eventually we start paying people to be a part of the show. They're going to be asking. Because this will be an Emmy winning show. You know what I mean? It will be an Emmy winning show. And all of the things that go along with that arena. At the end of the day, but I can say that it's not the pursuit that we want to do to pursue an Emmy. There's a difference. The Emmy will be a byproduct of what we pursue. What we pursue is, again, helping people find out that they are enough, helping humanity know the beauty of authenticity. That's what we pursue. The Emmy will be a byproduct of that. You know what I mean? Because as long as that is on the forefront of what we're doing, and again, collectively, we're helping humanity evolve. Oh my gosh, there are no limits to where we're going.
Helping people just to understand that they are enough, just as they are.
Absolutely.
You don't have anything to prove, defend, none of that. You are enough just as you are.
Absolutely.
And when people understand that and get that, there's a joy that arises in them, and there is a sense of purpose and a sense of confidence that's not ego. It's just confidence that I know who I am and whose I am.
Absolutely. I totally agree. Take a few minutes and talk about what this year has been really to you at this point, Harold, and how we're going to integrate what you do and about the Juicy and your vision, so much lining up with our vision and all that. So for the last few minutes of the show, go ahead and talk about that for us, please.
Well, for me, just being a cancer survivor, I knew that didn't just happen to me just because. I knew that part of my journey, my healing journey, was to share what I learned and what I experienced, to offer hope for folks that are suffering, who feel as though that there's no hope. Because sometimes when folks get a diagnosis, a prognosis, they oftentimes think it's the end, or they just accept that, this disability, or I'm not going to be able to do that. But there are things that we can do to improve our health and our well-being. And so that's really, been my mission, because far too many of us are suffering with high blood pressure, diabetes, heart disease. We die faster than any other ethnic group. And a lot of that not only has to do what we put in our mouth, but also what we put in our heads. Absolutely. And that what we put in our heads creates so much stress. I mean, we have, in many instances, we can eat well, but if we're still dealing with a lot of stress, our bodies will break down on us. And we normalize stress. We normalize it because we're so used to being stressed out. We're so used to being worried, go to bed worried, wake up worried. And a lot of that has to do with us feeling that we're not enough, feeling like we got to prove ourselves, looking for other people to validate us. But the beauty is when we learn to validate ourselves, you don't need anybody to validate you. You're not a parking ticket. You don't need nobody to do that for you.
I love that. You're not a parking ticket.
What he was saying, about anxiety and stress. I almost think that's an alternative to drugs. Because that in itself on the body, it ages us. It really brings on the aging fast, especially when it boils down to what your body is taking on. That's one thing I tell people I don't know if I tell people this, but I said, if it's not drugs, it's stress. It's stress, it's anxiety, it's insomnia, it's insomniac. If you're going through something, it's like it's I feel like at the end of the day, we have to have a meditation on stuff like that.
Well,
because I mean, we might need to talk about stuff like
Right.
that too, because that is so in our culture, and especially in if you want to go into the bigger scheme of things, the capitalistic way of living is stress, financial stress, basically, because that's what we're all at this point going through.
Well, I would almost be careful to say that it's kind of designed to put that kind of pressure on you, because that leads into all of the drug paraphernalia. You know what I'm saying? And that could be whether a person deals with cocaine, marijuana, overdoses of alcohol, to prescription drugs. You know what I'm saying? Because if you can put it's just like, for instance, a prime example, it's just like putting a mouse or a rat in a cage on a spinning wheel. Okay. It's stressful to keep going on that spinning wheel over and over and over and over and over again. And you can imagine with the stress factor that animal or that rat, that test rat comes out with, it's chaotic when it gets off of that wheel. You know, at the end of the day. And so many of us as humans are on that wheel. You know what I mean? And don't know how to get off. You know? In many areas of our lives, because you seem like you conquer one wheel and then here comes another wheel. And you jump on that trying to run. You know, but realizing that, here's the key, realizing that if you slow down, if you slow down, what's going to happen? The wheel is going to stop spinning. Then you can take the time to think about where you are and find yourself finding that you are enough, that you have your authenticity, and you can step off that wheel and move to a different destination of your life. Do you understand my point?
And that the point is the year 2020.
Absolutely.
That's the year of 2020 vision, because we've been doing this wheel for a long time. But it took this 1 year for that wheel to stop. And for that wheel, for us to, as human beings, to sit down and say, you know what, I've been running this race for a long time, and I have not paid attention to this A, B, and C. And now I'm with all of this other stress that is not even important. Now I see clearly. So that in itself is 2020.
Yes.
That's 2020.
Wow. That's it. Hey, we'll leave it at that. Do you want to touch on your book real quick and then the juicing real quick, and then we're going to go.
Oh, so my book that's out now is called Juicing 101. The ultimate guide to good health and weight loss. It has juice recipes, how to lose weight healthy, no drastic weight loss programs, how to do it healthy. And it's all it's about a well-being, because one of the things that I know is that when we start to feel better, we'll pay better attention to our bodies, and we'll be more aware of what we need to do. Because not every protocol diet works for everyone. Just paying attention what our body is telling us.
Absolutely. Taking that pause.
Pause. Be still and know. Be still and know. Be still and know that you are worthy. Be still and know that you are enough.
Absolutely. Guys, all Harold's information will start being posted on the Truth Behind the Truth page, so you guys can go there and you'll send me all the stuff here. We'll get all the links set up, and so they can click on there and go to your page and and follow all the things that you're doing, separately with that as well. Guys, we want to thank you so much for tuning in tonight. Oh my God, another enriching and feeling show. And I love how you encapsulated that. That was the moment. That was the moment. There was no need to go on any further. In the explanation, you sealed the moment with that. Guys, we want to thank you guys for an awesome 2020 for Truth Behind the Truth. Thank you for supporting us. Thank you for getting behind us. Thank you for your encouragements that we receive. Thank you for your shares, and your likes. You can't stop that. Okay. But thank you for that, guys. We really, really appreciate it. Thank you for all of those wonderful guests that have been a part of us in 2020. Thank you for all of our actors and just different ones and the conversations we've had. Those of you we've offended, thank you. Okay, look to get offended more in 2021. Okay, because through your offense, your authenticity is going to arise. Okay. We really, really appreciate that, guys. It's so much so. And you guys, we really want you to welcome our brother to being a part of our show now, Dr. Harold Defoe. He's going to be bringing a lot of information to the table as well. You know, we're excited to have him a part of us in 2021 going forward. Just expect a lot coming from us. All right. You guys have a super, super, super rest and enjoyment of your holiday. Get ready to kick in 2021. Woo, okay. But my motto was, let's get it done in 21. Okay.
All right.
Let's get it done in 21. Guys, you have a super blessed night. Thanks for tuning in and enjoy your New Year's coming in. We'll see you. Next week will be in a new year. Oh my God. Yeah. We'll be a new year. All right. Next Saturday night, we'll be in a new year.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Yes, it will. It will be what? This January 2nd.
Yeah.
Wow. That is so awesome. All right. Harold, brother, thank you, man. Always
Thank
good.
you.
Always good. We will continue. We will continue. We continue. As we will leave it at this point, guys, to be continued.
To be continued.
All right. Have a blessed night. Thank you for tuning into the Truth Behind the Truth. Good night.
Cream-colored ponies and crisp apple strudels, doorbells and sleigh bells and sweet Sue's with noodles, wild geese that fly with a more